Hey guys, it's your buddy Rome. Thank you for coming back to my channel. As you guys know, we have had somewhat of a interesting journey getting the Avata 360. As you remember, I received a version of it a few weeks ago and I had some issues with it that I did figure out through watching others' videos. Thank you guys for all the content that you've been creating on this product. I'm sure you helped me as well as a few others out, maybe a lot of other people out when it came to dealing with issues with this new release. But since then, I have received a new variant of the Avata 360. Now, the original Avata 360 that I received had the goggles as well as the motion controller. But I already had those units, which I also already have an RC2 controller. But this version of it comes with the RC2 controller, and that's what we're going to be unboxing today, setting up. Hopefully everything will go as planned. We'll be able to register this guy and get it in the air. Okay, so with all that said, that's been my journey. So hopefully, if you guys are still looking at this drone and you can think of ways that you can utilize it in your daily workflow or just for fun, recreational, whatever the case it may be, everything I've seen, guys, this drone is going to be amazing for content creation. 8K, 60 frames a second. Come on, guys. Works with all of the different controllers, including the FPV goggles. That's a win. All right, so let's get right to it. Let's open this box. Let's see exactly what we get in the box. So in the box, so we have it right here on my desk. It does have this cool little tab here on the front. I've never had good success with these tabs, guys. It usually just pops right off. So let's hope, cross our fingers that this actually works this time for Rome. All right, so we're going to pull the tab. All right, anyway, let's keep rolling. Let's keep it going. So we're going to get all of the plastic off of the box. I might have to pull out my knife. Hopefully we don't. All right, this is going to come off pretty easily. All right, let's get all this plastic off. All right, there we go. Plastic is off. Okay, so now we have our box here on the desk, as you guys can see. Let's go ahead and get to it. Now, as most of you guys know, when you first open this box, one of the things you're going to find is going to be your information QR code right here at the top that you can, scan if you don't already have the Motion app. But most of us already have that app. So in the box, the only thing left is going to be the case. So let's just pull this case out. Put that on the desk here. All right. So this is what we get. More plastic, but I'm not opposed to it. Another tab. Pop that off. I might save this plastic for something. I don't know what yet. All right, there we go. Now we have that plastic off. And here is the bag that comes with the Fly More combo. As I mentioned in the previous video, it has this really nice little handle here on the back. I do like that. Adjustable shoulder straps, guys. You're going to be going out in the, on your adventures, and you want to be able to comfortably carry this without a lot of stress. Having a bag with shoulder straps will work. Now, most of you guys who have been following me for a while know I have a ton of backpacks for drones, for my Avata 2, my Air 3S, my Neo 2, and other drones. So yeah, this is the second bag that I've received from DJI. Now, just to be clear, so no one is confused, this video is not sponsored by DJI. This video is sponsored in part by one of my brand reps that you guys probably see me talk about a lot of the different products for drones that they create. Yes, they did provide resources for this drone, and that's how the drone was acquired. All right, so let's take a look at what we have in the bag. All right, so just like the previous model, in the very top here, you guys are going to see we have a bunch of propellers and manuals and all of that kind of stuff. So it does come with all of your documentation, your stickers, you get all of that in this little section right here. You also get additional propellers in case you need those at some point going forward. You have those. You receive a cleaning cloth for the lens. And you also receive two other things. You're going to get a USB-C to USB-C cable, and you're going to get this little Allen key for taking off the propellers. All right, I think that's everything that's in there. Yeah. So you still have a little bit of room if you wanted to add something else into this little section. Usually with each one of these bags, guys, I just leave the propellers in there. That way, if I ever need them, if I do switch bags, I will move the propellers to whatever that new bag is, just in case, so I have them with me. All right, so let's take a look at what we have here in the bag now. So of course we have the drone, so we're just going to go ahead and pop that out real quick. You guys can take a look at it. You know, here's our drone. We're going to push that off to the side. We'll come back to that. All right, what else do we have? We have our landing pad. So I do like this landing pad. It's very compact. I've had others that are a little bit larger, a little bit more difficult to travel with. So when I'm out doing like real estate videography or any type of, you know, photography projects, man, I'm telling you, you know, the resources in your bag are essential. You know, how much space do we have per bag is a big deal. So, you know, having one of these, you know, portable landing pads, guys, trust me, is a win. All right, so this does come with the RC2 controller. I will not be activating this RC2 controller because I already have an RC2 controller that I use pretty much on a regular basis. And I've used this for my Neo 2, I've used this for my Air 3S and other drones. So this one works perfectly. So I'll just keep this one pretty much as a backup. So we'll come back to that. And as I mentioned before, I also have other controllers. You know, I have the FPV controller. I have the motion FPV, this motion controller as well. Man, the naming scheme on these things is crazy. But yes, I do have both of these. So I have both of these also. And of course, obviously, I have the goggles. So we have our goggles as well. So future videos, I'll be showing you guys a lot of different types of use case scenario screen recordings and things like that, either with the RC2 controller or with the goggles. Okay, so what else do we have in the bag? So we have our battery pack. So this is where we're going to find our batteries. Man, why is it always so difficult? There we go. All right, so here's our battery. Let's go ahead and open this up. I do like the idea that they're doing these bags now, opposed to the way it was before. But anyway, here are our 3 batteries. You know, easy, slot in. Let's see if they have any power. So there's a little bit of residual power, so you do need to charge these batteries up, which I will be doing. But as I mentioned before, I also need to register the drone. All right, let's see, is there anything else? I don't see anything else in the bag. So let's get to the drone. So here's the drone in this nice little Ziploc bag. Let me know, guys, what do you think of this new setup? This is kind of my new setup for unboxing videos and things like that. Of course, I have a totally different setup on that side of the studio for you know, streaming and things like, you know, going forward. But this area here I've set up exclusively for unboxing videos. All right, so here's our drone. As you guys can see, just like the one we looked at before, you know, we have the 4-bladed propellers. We have the ducts that go all the way around. Underneath, we have our ground sensor, our vents. You know, on the front here, we have our 360 obstacle avoidance. We have our LiDAR sensor. Let's go ahead and pop this off. All right, so it is in front-facing camera mode right now, so it's facing forward. And as you know, once this drone takes off, depending on which mode you decide to fly it in, it'll either rotate, to 360, or you can fly it in single lens mode up to 4K. So that's really nice. So yeah, beautiful drone. Like I said, I still have to register this guy. So that's going to be the next thing. I'm going to charge up the batteries, then I'm going to register it, and then after registering it, I will take it out for its first flight. Now, depending on how busy my day gets, I might get the opportunity to go around to a couple of places and fly this drone in different environments. But, just starting out, I do have a wooded area right outside of my home that I can fly. It's not huge. It's not huge, but it's big enough, for us to do an initial flight and get this guy in the air. So hopefully, two things. Registration will go smooth, and we won't have too many problems capturing satellites. So yeah, let's get right to it. So it's time for me to charge up these batteries, get this guy registered, and try to get it in the air. Y'all ready for that? Y'all ready? Let's go. All right, guys, so I brought it outside just for a quick takeoff to see if we can get satellites. I don't know how well you guys can see this so far. We actually have no satellites showing, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. So I'm going to go out and set up the landing pad, and we're going to get this guy ready to take off. All right, hopefully you guys can see right after takeoff for a few minutes, we did get satellites, so that's pretty good. So now we'll take it out someplace and do some more adventurous flying. All right, guys, I am out at a local park. Hopefully the wind's not too bad, but I do have the landing pad, so I'm gonna go ahead and set this landing pad up. All right, so we have the landing pad now over here ready to go. The drone is pretty much ready to fly as well. I will be using the RC2 controller, and we're just going to get this guy set up, ready to launch. Go ahead and power this all up. All right, we are ready to fly. Let's see how many satellites. Right now we have 21 satellites. That's a good start. Now we will be flying in 360 mode. So let's just go ahead and start this guy up. All right, we can just take off. All right, so home point is updated. I'm going to start the screen recording. All right, so now we're recording the screen. I'm also going to start recording on the drone. And I'm going to change. I'm going to take this guy out. All right, let's bring it back around a little bit toward the little pond you guys can see there. All right, so we're going to fly past the pond. Now I am in cine mode, but because of the wind, the drone is moving pretty fast. I still have it in line of sight. All right, let's turn this guy back around so you guys can get a better look at this little waterway that's over by my house. So we can go forward over it. All right, let's turn this guy also back around more toward me. And everything looks good. It should be looking straight at me. So we're going to start going back in that direction. Now, like I said, this was the first flight, so I wanted to do something really quick. We're going to fly over the pool here and come back on this side. So the drone is pretty much right over where I am. So I'm just going to rotate this guy around a little bit and show you guys a little bit more of this area. And let's just go back out again real quick here, just so you guys can see. And we're going to bring it back around. And now we're looking at the pool area. I'm going to bring it back over toward the big waterway. And we're just going to go up a little bit. Let's bring it up a little bit higher, not too much higher. We're at about 166 feet. So let's go ahead and go forward, so you guys can get a good look at this local pool. All right, let's bring this guy back around. There's the waterway. And I am here. You guys can see where the return to home is. So we're going to start going toward the return to home. All right, she's almost above me. I'm going to bring it down a little bit lower. Almost right on top of this car here. Let's go forward and bring it down a little bit more. There we go. Now we got some serious wind right now, so you know that's to be considered, but you guys get the idea. But it's handling the wind very well, no problems whatsoever. It is being pushed around a little bit, but I think it's good for that. All right, so let's go ahead and bring this guy in. All right, let's bring it all the way down. All right, guys, it is landed now. So we are doing great. So far, everything looks good. The drone is very responsive. We did pick up satellites. So that's, you know, the end of this video. So hopefully this video has been helpful. I will catch you guys in the next video. Probably in the next video, I'll bring the drone out or maybe pick a different location. This is just really close to my house. And maybe we'll get out and fly with the goggles. Of course, I have to have my visual observer with me when we're doing that. That's why, you know, we're flying with the controller is much easier. Even though I have these polarized shades on, it does make it a little bit challenging to be able to see the screen, but other than that, everything went great. All right, guys, if anybody roam with Rome Knows Tech, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Until then, stay safe, peace. I'm out.